Here's another problem from homework number 10. I believe it's around problem number 15. It says if a couple plans to have 3 children, what is the probability that there will be at least one boy? Assume boys and girls are equally likely. So we'll start there. And when they say equally likely here, that means that the probability of a boy or a girl is the same. So we could say the probability of a girl equals 1/2. We've talked about that a lot, and we know that. The probability of a boy is also going to equal 1/2. All right, if we're having 3 children, that's like 3 events, and we're trying to find out the probability of at least one boy. So let's think about that. What could happen here? We have the probability, well, we could have a boy first, and then we could have a girl, and then we could have another girl. We could have probability of a girl, and then a boy, and then a girl, plus the probability of 2 girls, and then a boy. Then we got to go through this all again with what's the probability of getting, you could also get 2 boys and 1 girl. You could get a girl, and then a boy, and then a boy, and so on. This could take a while to add up all the different possible ways to get at least one boy. So we really think about when you see this term at least, think about it. That the only option that doesn't satisfy that would be a situation where you would have 3 girls. If you have 3 daughters, then that's the only situation where you don't have at least one boy. So that might be easier. What if we find out the probability of having 3 girls, and then we can subtract that from 1, because we know the probability of having 3 children, regardless of their sex. If you add up all the different combinations, that's going to equal 1. All right, so let's think about this now. So this is going to equal the probability of a girl, 3 events going on here, times the probability of a girl times the probability of a girl. Okay, and we know that that's going to be 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, or, which is the same thing as 1/2 to the 3rd power, to the 3rd power, which is going to equal 1/8. So the probability of having 3 girls is going to be 1/8. Therefore, what is the probability of not having 3 girls? In other words, any of the other possibilities, not having 3 girls. It's going to be that remaining 7 out of 8. So you have a 7 out of 8 chance of adding all, and if you went through this and you added them all up, that's what you'd get. Because of each of these, in fact, would be 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, because they're the same all the time. Of having a boy or a girl is the same. So each one of these is going to turn out to be 1/8. So you'd have 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8. 1, 2, 3, 4. There must be 3 more, and I'm sure you can think of them. There would be a boy, and then a girl, and then a boy, and so on, until finally the last possibility, adding up with 3 boys plus a boy and a boy and a boy. So why go through all this work when we can just find one probability and subtract it? And it's going to be the 1 minus the 1/8, everything else, because this is the only way you can't have at least one boy. This is the only way you can't have at least one boy. So every other way you will be able to have at least one boy. This is a very good method when the numbers get higher. For example, if you had, what is the probability, if we change this to, what if you were going to have 7 children? What's the probability of at least one boy? Let's say, imagine that. So now what we're talking about is, change the color here so we can think about this a little bit. What is the probability of having 7 girls? Because that's the only option that doesn't give you at least one boy. You could have 6 girls and 1 boy, 5 girls and 2 boys, and so on, and all the different ways that could happen. But there's only one way to have 7 girls. That means each each baby is a girl. And the probability, that's going to be the same thing as the probability of one girl 7 times. So the probability of one girl 7 times is going to be 1/2 to that 7th power. And if you do that in your calculator, you will see that that will equal 1 over 128. So figuring out the probability of 7 girls is much easier than trying to figure out the probability of all the other possibilities that include one boy. So therefore, the probability of at least one boy is going to be 1 minus the 1 over 128. That's the only way. So that will leave you 127 out of the 128. So very good chances. The more kids you have, the greater the chance of having multiple, both sexes in your family. And think about your own family. How many of you have siblings of the opposite sex, especially those of you in larger families? So, all right, give that a try.